Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to FrankieSense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say?
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin now.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
It does only make sense. And welcome to FrankieSense and More. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth. That's for sure. But today I have two amazing guests with me, and I'm really, really excited for you to meet them. The first is Inez Bracey. She's a coach, speaker, author, scientist, and teacher. She's dedicated to empowering high-performing professionals. Peanut wants to be on the show. Executive and self-employed women over 50 to reconnect with themselves, renew their joy, and courageously live their lives. Peanut, if you want to be on the show, get up here. She helps women fall and stay in love with themselves, and she created Emerge, Inspire, Live as a means to help them use what they've gone through in life to live their dream style. Now, she is also the author of Rejuvenate Your Life, 21 Days to Feel Like a Woman Again, and Simple Pleasures. Bruce Langford, he is a mindfulness consultant, a podcaster, and an author himself who is hired by companies to improve employee work balance by replacing stress and anxiety with team spirit and self-respect. Bruce's extensive background in bullying prevents and equips him through mindfulness to inspire employees to replace self-bullying and judgmental behaviors with a strong desire for cooperation and respect. Well, first of all, let me welcome both of you to the show.
Great to be here. It's awesome.
Yeah, on the surface, people say, gee, Bruce, Inez, Bruce, how do we put these two together? But really, you're both teachers. You both come from a teaching background. Bruce, you taught music.
That's right.
And Inez, what did you teach?
Science.
Science. Oh, I love it. Not that many women are, you don't meet that many women who teach science or are into science. So that's really fascinating. What brought you into science? What did you fall in love with?
This is going to sound crazy, but when I was in high school in the biology class, they were teaching human anatomy. And I wanted to know about the male anatomy, and that's why I went into biology.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Nobody showed you at home? You didn't have brothers?
I had one brother, but it was all you can't show, though. He had 6 sisters, so.
Oh, that's hilarious. Did you think you wanted to be a doctor?
No, I wanted to work in labs. Once I found out about the anatomy, I was okay then.
Okay. So in working labs is like to save humanity from things, or?
No, sort of like that too, but working with Petri dishes and all that kind of stuff. And so I found out that they didn't talk to me, and I decided I wanted to have a position where I could actually interact with people, and that's when I left the lab.
Okay. And Bruce, tell me about your teaching background.
Yeah, well, I always loved music when I was a kid. And then I thought, man, if I could be a music teacher, how cool would that be? And it really was cool. I loved it. I loved helping the underdog, that kid that was having a hard time. And I could say to them, hey, you want to try out the drums? Maybe I can get you going on the drums. And then all of a sudden, school had a new meaning for them.
What was your instrument of choice?
Well, mine was piano, and then I played the saxophone, and then the drums, and lots of other.
Oh my God, I did too. I did exactly in that order.
Cool.
That's cool. That's so cool. What about you, Inez? Did you play an instrument, or do you?
Never. I was going to start taking piano lessons this year, and then I got busy, and I never got to it.
Oh, well, maybe Bruce can help you out. I love piano. I can't play it anymore, but it's a beautiful instrument when it's played well. It's gorgeous. So, Bruce, bullying means a lot to you. And I'm wondering, Inez, have you ever experienced bullying in any form in the workplace or just growing up?
I have not. I've always been the defender for people who were being bullied. In 3rd grade, we had a Down syndrome classmate, and everybody wanted to pick on him. So I befriended him, and I started protecting him. Next thing I know, now he was accepted by everybody in the class, so that was great. We graduated high school together.
Oh, that's wonderful. Where did your, hero thing come in for you, Bruce, when, to stop bullying? Did something happen to you or somebody that you love?
Well, when I was a teenager, I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of anxiety. And so, as I got older, then I wanted to help people who were going through rough times as kids and teenagers. And I think that's what it was. And then when I was a teacher and I saw kids being bullied, and I saw one particular kid who had everything going for him. He was athletic, he was musical, talented in so many ways, and yet he was miserable at school because he was being picked on.
Yeah.
And that's what was the trigger for me. I just wanted to do something more for all kids that were picked on and bullied. And so I set up a musical anti-bullying program and started taking it on the road.
Wow. How does that
Very nice.
work? How does that work?
Well, I just thought, you know what? Kids relate to music. We all remember things if we use music, as a connector. And so I wrote songs, all kinds of songs about how to deal with bullying and how to just get through some of these hard situations. And then I thought, okay, this has got to be interesting for the kids. So I decided to be a DJ. So I would go to the school and I would set up all my equipment and I'd say, hey, we're coming to you live on ATFM radio. And we're doing a live on location right here in the school gym. And, hey kids, we're going to be on the air. So get ready and all that kind of thing. And then when we would go on commercial, I would give out prizes like every radio station. So we had a lot of fun with it.
That sounds
Wow.
great. I love that. How long did you do it for?
12 years. And
Oh
I
gosh.
still do it sometimes, when I want to
Nice.
have fun because it is fun.
That's very creative too, Bruce, to come up with the idea and then to follow with it. That was very creative.
Thank you, Inez. Thank you.
Yeah. Inez, I know that you have a love and passion for travel.
Yes.
You've been to 14 countries?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did that in 14 months. And the thing about
14 months. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you win a trip? Airplane
No,
ticket?
I would always had a dream to travel, and my nephew was getting married in the Philippines, so that was my opportunity. And once I got over there, I thought, well, I might as well stay. And I only knew 2 people. I went to 2 countries. My nephew was in the Philippines. I knew him. I met a girl in the Philippines who's Chinese, and we went to China together. But all the other countries, I didn't know anybody. But I met some awesome people. I mean, just wonderful.
What about you, Bruce? Do you like to travel?
I love to travel, but I haven't done anywhere near that much traveling. That's on my bucket list. But
Yeah.
I've been to a few countries, and I've been invited to some different places, interesting places to do my anti-bullying work. So I've done that. But yeah, I'd love to go to more interesting countries like that.
Well, what's really cool about you, Inez, is that you do it. You travel on your own, and you teach women how to travel on their own, and really how to. I guess the hardest thing is when you are solo, and I don't know. For some reason, it's easier for men, Bruce. I don't know why, but to go into a restaurant and eat by yourself.
Oh, that's a myth. That is a myth, Frankie. That is a myth. You get to go and eat any place you desire.
Yeah.
And I teach women how to do that.
That's what I'm saying. You teach women how to do that.
Get themselves ready to see themselves doing it and following through, even if it's a 5-star and you've been longing to experience that. And every time you walk by, it's couples, and no, you can get yourself ready, make your reservation, go and just have an exquisite time. I love it.
Okay, so you go to a 5-star restaurant.
Yes.
The maitre d' comes and he's, oh, madame, let me serve you. And is there any kind of do they give you great service? Do they kind of,
Oh, absolutely. Great service. And I like to be where I can watch people and have the best seat in the house. And I just tell them where I want to sit because I've already scoped it out. So I tell them where I'd like to sit, and it's beautiful. You just get to be vocal and confident when you start speaking, and be courageous enough to ask for what you want. And
so you're not sitting there with your cell phone going,
oh, absolutely.
You're like looking at the room.
I'm looking around, but I do notice that in some of them, each person has their own device and they're not even talking to one another.
No, I noticed that too. It's crazy,
I noticed that too. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I especially at a family restaurant, and I've seen mom and dad
Oh, I
each
know.
on their own cell phone, and the kids are like, I don't, what is happening?
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah,
The kids
I
are on
think
their devices. Everybody's on a device. It's come on, like let's make connections. Let's learn more about each other. Let's be family or friends or whoever we are, and let's truly get to know each other more. That's what I say.
Yeah, because
I
you're
totally
engaging.
agree. I totally agree. One of the things they did in the Philippines, especially in Subic Bay and Manila, in McDonald's, they cut off the Wi-Fi.
Oh,
And they said, we want you to talk to each other, have conversations.
I like that. I like that. I've been to a couple of restaurants in my day traveling where they have, it's called the common table. And so even if you are by yourself, you'll go sit at a common table with other guests and converse. You know,
yes.
it's like your opportunity to connect and converse in another land kind of thing. And I think that's really cool.
I do
think there
That
should
too.
be more of that.
That is so exciting because one of my dreams, because I read novels all my life, and one of my dreams was to be in a foreign country, sitting at a table with people from around the world and having conversations. And that actually came true for me. It was exciting.
Where were you?
I was in the Philippines at the
In the
time.
Philippines. Wow. Which country?
I was in Subic Bay.
Okay. I don't know it, but okay.
Yeah.
It sounds exciting. I like the sound of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you been to the Philippines, Bruce?
No, I haven't. I have a friend who is from the Philippines, but I've never been there myself.
Yeah, I haven't. My son was there, but I haven't been there myself either. That's pretty exciting. Far trip.
Yeah.
Do you mind the long travel, the long flight, Inez?
You know what? I love it. I enjoy myself because I'm so excited about getting on the plane and finally going, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy every phase of it.
Have you ever taken like a group of women with you?
I have not, but that's for this year.
Okay, awesome.
We're deciding where we're going to go.
And where are you going?
We're looking at Dubai, and we're also looking
that's exciting.
at China. So I haven't quite decided where we're going to go yet.
Yeah, but just women, not men.
Just women.
Just
darn, I'm out of luck. Come on, I want to go.
You'll
It
come
sounds
as
like
your
too much
piano
fun.
player.
Don't you need entertainment? Don't you need some music?
Well, yeah, we do, but we'll figure out a way.
That's hilarious.
The next trip will be for men only. How about that?
That sounds good. That sounds good. Bruce, you know, I was going to say, like, as a guy, before, you know, we talked about the women, like, did you ever have a trouble going places by yourself or sitting down and eating at a restaurant by yourself? A lot of people don't find that uncomfortable.
Yeah, there have been times, and I have to admit, there have been times when I've gone into a restaurant by myself and felt like I was not receiving much attention. It's like, I just thought, okay, the waiters are just thinking, okay, it's just a single guy by himself, like, who cares? You know what I mean? And we'll just put more attention into the couples or the families or whatever.
The bill's going up.
Yeah, and sometimes I've just left because I thought, well, no way. You know, if I'm not getting attention, if I'm not getting service,
Yes.
then forget it. But I think it does have a lot to do with confidence and the way you carry yourself and the way you appear when you first walk into that restaurant and what you ask for. Just like Inez said, you know, I think you have to set the bar high, and you know, you have your expectations. So I think that's a big part of it. I agree with that, and the confidence that you carry with you is so important.
You know, as a coach, you never take the coach out of the coach. I was at a restaurant and had horrible service. This girl, she threw the coffee cup down at me, like literally threw it at me, and it had a chip out of it. And I said, "Excuse me, but this, you know, this coffee cup has a chip. Could I get another cup?" So she brings me another cup, same cup, different cup of coffee in it. And at the end of the whole thing, and it was horrible service. And I said to the manager, you know, I would really love to come here and do a seminar for your staff. And he actually hired me. I couldn't believe it, but he did hire. Yeah. Because, you know, I liken wait staff to being an entrepreneur. And you know what, like, why work so hard to get people to come back? You know, when you could treat them right the first time, it's like your own business. Sit in my section. I want to sit in your section. Inez, I want to sit in your section, Bruce, because, you know, you've given them what they need and what they want. So, you know, we're talking in your world, it's all about mindfulness, and really it's the same in your world, Inez, because you're visioning the event before it happens, and that's mindfulness, right?
Yes,
It is.
So
yes, it is.
how did you come into the world of mindfulness, Bruce, from being a DJ, musician?
Well, because I
Influencing.
realized that, if you can focus on now and not be so focused on the past, not be so focused on the future, well, then that causes bullying to just decline. You don't feel bullied to the extent you're not going to bully others. And it actually reduces bullying across the board if you can teach people what mindfulness truly means. And I thought, why not do that? Because a lot of times when you teach about bullying and how to avoid bullying, you're actually teaching about mindfulness anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know that. Oh, go ahead, Inez, please.
I really like what you said about being in the present moment and all you have is now. And that is totally mindfulness. And one of the things that we forget to do or be sometime is present in whatever is going on.
Yes.
So that is an awesome thing that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Inez.
And when you're present, you're listening too. You can't be somewhere else and be present. You have to.
And that's an incredible skill.
Yeah.
That is. And, a lot of us think we're good listeners, but we can always be better listeners. Don't you think so, Frankie?
Absolutely. I know that many times, if you're listening to somebody and you've already got your next question in your head, you're not listening to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's how you know. And, I teach people about hearing their thoughts. And so a lot of times people can't separate their thoughts. And I liken it actually to a CD where, you say, pick out the bass line, pick out the piano,
Right.
pick out the voice, the vocal. And if you can do that, then you can hear the voices in your head, the members of the board, right? I call them.
Exactly.
Who are giving you those negative comments or who are making up the next question instead of listening.
True. And one of the things I love about editing my own episodes on my podcast is that when I hear them the second time, I'm hearing new layers. I'm hearing more. And so a lot of people say, oh, I hate editing podcasts, but I think it just gives you so much more meat out of the guest. You learn so much more about that person and gives you a chance to listen on another layer. So that's one thing that I've learned through having my podcast on mindfulness.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
When you mentioned listening for the different instruments,
Yes.
it took me back to college when I had music appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the hardest things that I ever took. Finding out, picking out the different instruments in a piece. And wow.
Well, how do you find listening to the voices in your head?
In my head, I pay attention to who's saying what. I've taught myself that. But if I had to pick out anything other than a flute or a guitar or a piano, I'm done.
Yeah. It's, I guess if you play instruments, it's easier maybe.
Yes.
I think so.
Understand the texture and the tone of them.
Mm-hmm.
But you both work in corporations. You both go into corporations anyway, I should say, and work with business people and a different variety of people. Is there anything major, I'm going to say major, that has changed in the landscape in the last, like, say, 2 years that you're noticing as you work with people? Let's start with you.
I would say that people are realizing, CEOs and managers are realizing that if they have truly happy employees who get along and feel good about going to work, it actually increases the bottom line. It makes that business much more profitable. So, people think of mindfulness sometimes, or they did in the past, of kind of like icing on the cake, kind of an extra. It's not an extra. It's a basic. It's something we all need, and especially in corporations, so that people are happier. And if they're happier, they're going to be making that corporation work much more efficiently.
Agreed.
Totally agree. I totally agree, Bruce. And one of the things I'm noticing is that the C-level executives are now paying attention and taking part more readily in all of the training that the staff is taking part in, which lends value to the training. And not only does it lend value to the training, it gets everybody on the same page, knowing that this is not just for now. And next week when Inez is not here, we'll be back to our old selves.
Right. Because it starts at the top.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And, in my past position with the government, as a special advisor for spirit, which was really to make everybody happy. My, performance measurement was a little bit difficult because my deputy was an engineer. He wasn't, a touchy-feely sort of person. So when I said, I can tell they're happier because they're smiling when they walk in. They say hello now. They didn't say hello last month. That's not a good performance measurement for him. But for me, I knew that was huge. Huge, because you had unions who were buffering against each other and who hated, their fellow people now, kind of thing. So how do you tell your, CEOs, what kind of measurement do you use?
Well, one of the things that they use, and I show them how to use it, is the retention and the productivity.
Right.
Because when people are engaged and they are feeling great about themselves, they love what they're doing, they're talking to one another, and even building teams come a lot easier because now it's not my team, it's all of us. And that's one way to do it.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Same
I think
for
it's
you?
it's just so important to have that level of contentment, that once anxiety starts to drift away, starts to dissolve, you can tell that productivity is moving up. And of course, it's easy to measure the bottom line. It's easy to measure productivity itself, how much money is being made for the company. And if, I've been in there working with the employees, working with the CEO, then they can tell, it's a different feeling.
Right.
And then that feeling translates into income.
Yeah, the culture has changed.
It has.
Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. The idea of, and as you like to work with women over 50, Bruce, you probably work with people under 50.
Yeah.
And maybe not predominantly women. But, I do see a synergy in what you're both doing because, people are people, men and women. Women, they have, I think in some ways women innately, not innately, but have less confidence sometimes, but when they are confident, they're like way more confident than a man. Like once they get their feet under them and they can go out and change the world. But, through circumstances, maybe they haven't, everybody hasn't experienced that. And as when you work with women, with the boomers, let's say, some of them, they come out of a business world and maybe they have a little more confidence than the others who were maybe a housewife who stayed home, and maybe she's a widow or newly divorced. How does that affect the work that you do?
Wow, that's a great question, Frankie, because one of the things I've noticed is we can be confident in our different roles.
Right.
So as an executive, I show up all powerful and I'm confident. And the minute I leave the premises, it's that little girl again saying, who do you think you are? Why do you think you can do this? So it's just across the board. When we decide that we are going to reconnect with our goddess, with our femininity, when we are going to allow ourselves to really be feminine, to let our hips sway, to dress in feminine clothing and be okay in the workplace. I'm not saying going in naked. I am not saying that. But I am saying dress so that it complements you. You're not required to wear a pantsuit all the time or a tie, but you can wear clothing that lets everybody know, yes, I am a woman and I'm proud of it.
Right, right. I like that. I think it's true. And I thought, for a long time, I thought it was just me. Very confident at work, not as confident outside, how you handle yourself. And I'm wondering, Bruce, do guys feel that way too sometimes? Do they feel like you're the hero at work or the hero at home, but not when you go someplace else?
You know what I've discovered? So many CEOs are actually insecure and many of them are lonely. Now, they don't show that at work. You'd never dream it. But when I really get talking with them and helping them and working with them, I find out that they have a lot of doubts and they really need to have more confidence, and they can get that through mindfulness, and meditation. I haven't even mentioned that, but the big part of mindfulness is having a little bit of time every day to give your brain a break, because CEOs are often overwhelmed. that
Yeah.
sense of overwhelm that can just devastate all of us. And, we just need to give our brain a break, have a little bit of a time of meditation. And that form of mindfulness can help to increase confidence and make you feel empowered to do your work.
I'm going to just stop us here for one moment. If you're listening to us, it's FrankieSense and More. We're here live on Facebook, and I'm with Inez Bracey, and I'm with Bruce Langford. Inez, give out your website, please.
My website is inezbracey.com. INEZBRACY.com.
And Bruce?
And mine is my podcast, Mindfulness Mode. And I have to remind people sometimes, and even myself, mindfulness just has one L in it. MINDFULNESS. Mindfulness Mode. And what mode are you in today, Frankie? Are you in mindfulness mode?
Well, I'm definitely, I'm mindfully listening to your voice going, you're a wonderful DJ voice, doesn't he, Inez?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to close my eyes and let you take it away.
I have a lot of fun being a DJ. It's just so fun.
And it shows. It shows.
It does. Inez, do you meditate?
I do. And one of the things I work with my clients, and many of them are so busy, I said just give yourself 7 minutes every day. Set a timer so you're not like children, I'll be there yet. Every morning, give yourself 7 minutes, and you can work up to more, but at least 7, to be still and be quiet and just breathe.
Totally
and just
agree.
breathe. And okay, so I want the secret to your meditation, other than, I'm gonna put my egg timer on for 7 minutes and get myself almost a hard boil. or macaroni and cheese, Kraft dinner, 7 minutes. They call it that.
One of the things I ask them to do when they're breathing, to breathe in love and breathe out grace. And as they're breathing in love and breathing out grace, they're going to get ancestral, universal, generational thoughts, because every thought is still in the universe.
Yeah.
So the ones that come in that support you, acknowledge it and say thank you for coming and take it to your heart space. Those that come that don't support you, say thank you for coming and return to sender with love and come back to your heart space. So that's the whole process that I work
with. I like that.
Yes, I do too.
How do you do it, Bruce?
Well, I meditate for 20 minutes every day, and I love silent meditation. I focus on my breath. I focus on mantras. And in the past, I've used guided meditations. I like to create guided meditations and put them on the Insight timer. So many of my guests on my Mindfulness Mode podcast show say that they use the Insight timer, and they use guided meditations on that. So that's how I do it. I just find that the time just flies by, and then suddenly I hear this gong or bell, whatever I set up on Insight timer, and that signifies the end of my meditation time.
You know what's really interesting? I'm also a metaphysical hypnotherapist, and I give a lot of guided meditation, but I'm not good at receiving guided meditation. And I always kind of felt like a failure. Even though I'm a super creative person, when you go walk to the bridge, go over the thing, it's like, I don't really want to follow that. And maybe it's my rebellious nature. I don't know. But I kind of feel like a failure. And I think that there's a lot of people who feel like failures when people say, go meditate. I'm not doing it right. I don't know how to do it. I'm a shallow breather sometimes. I got so much going on. It's like, oh, just for me to take a big breath. You want me to take a big breath? Who's got time? Right?
That's the first thing I teach when I teach meditation is, hey, you're going to hear a voice that says you're terrible at this.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that voice. You're not terrible at it. You cannot be terrible at meditating. If you're doing it, you're doing a great job, because it's just impossible to do a bad job of meditation.
You are a good teacher. I like that. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I'm an active meditator. So if I drive, my trance state, then I can meditate. That's kind of my thing. But I would really love to sit here. If I did sit here for 10 minutes, I'd probably fall asleep. I only sleep about 4 hours a night. So
wow.
Yeah, it's awful.
That's not much sleep.
It's not much sleep. So I do tend to fall asleep when I try to meditate, but unless I'm actively doing it. But it is a very important thing. And everybody, I talk to on these shows talks about meditation and the importance of meditation and how it really is the fuel for their success, really, and their inspiration and their creativity and everything else that they're doing in life. So how much important?
One of the things, Frankie, that I have found is there are different ways of meditating, walking meditations,
Yeah.
singing meditation, dancing meditation, whatever you're doing, as long as you're getting into that energy and that energetic flow, that makes all the difference. So yes, it's great to be able to sit in kumbaya or walk in kumbaya. You're getting it
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. I actually like to drum and do it because I think that I
Mm.
love
Oh,
that
that's
the
right. You're a
sound of a drum.
musician.
Yeah, I love the sound of a drum,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it for me that tribal thing is gets
Yes.
me. I like
Mhm.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I can't hear a bass or a bass drum without going, it's exciting. It's exciting to me.
That's what gets me going too. I was at this really upscale dance or a gala, and everybody's standing around chatting, and the drums came on, and I started moving. They started looking at me like, oh, what is wrong with her? I couldn't stop myself. My body automatically went into movement.
I love it. Yeah. See,
Great.
you are a musician. Your body is a musician.
Yes.
Your body's a musician. So I'm wow, New Zealand, the South Pacific. How exciting was that to travel there?
It was the best part though was flying into Australia first and starting in the northern part where it was nice and warm. And as further I got south, I was freezing. I left there and I went to New Zealand. It was cold and raining. I said, I got to get someplace warm. And I went to Fiji and my bones thawed out and I was home. It's like, yes. Yeah.
Fiji sounds so exotic and just so amazing.
It is totally, totally.
Would you move there?
I would.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have an anchor over here in the Americas? Like, do you have children or grandchildren that keep you?
I don't have children or grandchildren, but I have 4 sisters who always say, are you in the country or did you leave?
Yeah, because I interviewed Beth Bell and she lives in Bali, and she.
Oh, that's another favorite place. Bali was awesome. I went to the coffee plantation that's in the bucket list.
Yeah.
Where Jack Nicklaus had the most expensive coffee in the world.
The poop coffee, I call it. The poop coffee.
Yeah, the poop coffee. I went there. I saw the whole thing. It was so awesome.
Yeah,
And
my son went there too. He goes, I brought you home some. And,
yeah.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, that's a really cool place. And with them, like the volcano is active now. And so people are afraid and they don't want to go. But I've always wanted to go there and it just looks stunning to me. Is that on your bucket list, Bruce? Would you go to like Fiji or
I definitely
Bali?
would go there. I went to the U.S. Virgin Islands to teach my anti-bullying work and mindfulness, and that was a beautiful place. But I've never been to Fiji. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just having that open air home. They stayed in those open air, and just in Bali, it was like in a tree house kind of hotel, and it was just stunning. Did you stay in a place like that, Inez?
I stayed in all kinds of places.
Yeah, okay.
I stayed in villages. I stayed it was just awesome. I stayed with the people.
Now, you said that you felt very safe traveling by yourself.
Yes. I feel safe because I have no viewpoints. I have no viewpoints, no judgments, and no opinions. I accept you as you are.
Uh-huh.
And with that, they accept me as I am. And we just have a grand old time. I don't have a problem.
I love that. Yeah. Wow. Bruce, have you traveled by yourself? Did you take your family with you when you went to?
No, I went by myself, and I remember I was, taking. Well, I was at a resort. That's where they put me up, and then I was going to some different places because I was teaching at private schools, and so I would take a taxi, and I had my suitcases full of things like my projector and all my equipment and everything else. I remember walking up this very, very steep hill, and there were all these roosters running around. And, I mean, that's a lot different than Canada, a city in Canada, and it was just so cool. And then I got to this huge Catholic church, and I was teaching in the Catholic school that was adjacent to it. And I walked in, and there were people in there. It was 7:00 in the morning, people in there praying and chanting. And it was a beautiful experience being there. It was incredible. And I didn't mind traveling on my own at all.
I was in St. Thomas, and there was a musician just sitting under this awning, playing guitar, playing the Beatles, playing, all these great songs. And all you just wanted, he was local and he was fantastic. And,
Beautiful.
everybody just gather around, listen, and then walk away. It's a very different lifestyle. It's a really cool lifestyle, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Bruce, when you mentioned the roosters, I didn't know until I was in Fiji that roosters crow all day and all night. I thought they only crowed in the morning,
Oh yeah.
but they crow. Did y'all know that?
I didn't know that.
No,
All day and all night.
Well, there's always
No.
a woman. Where are you? That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. And the other part about traveling by yourself and you know is meeting people, and it must be very expensive. So for the women that you talk to, how, is there like a trick or something that you know how to travel?
Yes.
Oh, I thought there had to be.
I am so excited to share this because one of the things I discovered is it doesn't cost a whole lot to travel. In most countries, the dollar is worth a lot more than we get in the United States. So even in Fiji, $1 US is equal to $2 Fijian. So that makes a big difference. In the Philippines, it was way more than that. So when you're working with the locals, if you stay away from the tourist places, you will be fine because you get to eat on a local level. Also, it is safe and fun to stay in hostels. They're not just for you. They're for everybody, including families with babies. I had a ball.
Wow. You know, for us with the Canadian dollar, it's a little bit more.
Yes.
But I know what you're saying. I remember my son telling me, you know, they would tell the taxi driver, take me to local, take me where you're going to eat. And they would eat for $3-4. Yeah, in Bali.
Yeah.
He said, and it said the food was way better than what they try to offer tourists.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. So what's new in 2018 for you, Inez?
What is new in 2018 for me? I have embraced cryptocurrency.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so I'm so excited about that. I'm with the iPro Network, and we have a network marketing company, and I am thrilled to be a part of it and growing that unit. So that's new for me. And in doing that, we're opening up all of the world. So I have a call with some of my friends in China and with my friends in the Philippines. I'm excited.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And Bruce?
Well, I'm doing more and more work with consulting with big companies, with corporations, and I'm really excited about it. Just putting the word out there and getting into more places and doing more of those kinds of things and teaching mindfulness and teaching meditation, all stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah, I love it. Are you planning any kind of retreats or anything like that?
No, I'm not, but the future could hold something like that because I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think there are a lot of people looking for that kind of thing. So that's a great idea, Jackie. Thank you for planting the seed, Frankie.
You know what? And I'm going to tell you something. You are not the first person. Everybody calls me Jackie, or there's another one.
I don't know why that came out, but
they all do. No, you're not the only person that does it. I get it a lot. I'll go to you know, retreats and different places like that, and I'll be Jackie or I'll be something else, but I won't be Frankie. I can't remember what the other one is. But it's yeah. But you know what? When I was a little girl, I wanted to be called Jackie. So
oh, did you?
Yeah. So I'm happy.
That's good.
That's a wonderful way to travel, and I know it's even for you. I love to be creative. So you know, if you were to get on a cruise and offer to teach, you know, something on that cruise, and maybe you get the cruise for free because you're doing something, that would be kind of cool.
That would be very cool. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah. And then, you know, you can invite some friends and we can help you out.
You
I got it.
music.
So I'll stay in touch and let you know when this is all set up.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm really loving is teaching about cryptocurrency, because for so many people it is so new. And for women who've never even dabbled in the stock market or anything like that, they don't even have a filter for it. So it's just awesome to see them get the aha and go, whoa, I really like that.
So cryptocurrency is new, and I don't know how much you know about it, Bruce. Maybe you read about Bitcoin, or have you dabbled in it yourself? Or
I've read about it. I've watched a documentary about it on Netflix, and I have some friends that are very much into it. Personally, I haven't invested in it. I'd love to learn more, love to really totally understand it. I don't know if anybody totally understands it, but
yeah,
I would love to get into it. And I think that's wonderful, Inez, that you understand it and that you teach it. That's great.
I would love to get with you after this, Bruce, and share some information.
I would enjoy that.
yeah. I think you know what? I think as you get older, it's really good for us to find new projects, find new ways of being interesting and interested in things. I think it helps the brain to halt the Alzheimer genes from popping up. That's what they say. If you can learn something new all the time, it really it helps you.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think being mindful is probably similar to learning something new in some ways. Just relaxing, absorbing, letting things flow to you, and or asking from your inner spirit to come out and give you information. Like, how spiritual are you, Bruce?
I'm pretty spiritual, and
Yeah.
especially I've learned so much from my guests, because I've had almost 300 guests on my show, and I've learned so much about being spiritual. I have always been a spiritual person, but that evolves, I think, as you move forward, and just spend time on this journey. We learn more about ourselves and more about what we truly believe, and I think you're right about mindfulness. I think that you become mindful of what you eat, you become mindful of the exercise, and all of those things that help you to be healthy, and healthy not only in your body but in your brain as well. And we all need to be healthy spiritually, that's for sure.
I love how you talked about mantras, because I remember, I think it was even in the 1930s, Emile Coumet, who had brought it into the hospitals and said, every day in every way I feel better and better. And
Right.
he told the patients they didn't have medication for them. They ran out or whatever it was. But he said, do this, say this. And they all got better. And that was just, this belief. Maybe it's the original placebo. I don't know. But they all got better. And I think that's really important, to be able to give yourself messages and get messages from your higher self, from spirit. And as you teach, do you teach like law of attraction and
Yes, I do. I do. And one of the things I like about what Bruce said is about the mindfulness. And as you were saying, as you become more mindful, that's almost like learning another language for some of us, because we've been scattered for so long. Now we get to settle down and actually pay attention, to listen and go, wait a minute, that makes perfect sense. Now that I'm listening more, I'm hearing and understanding exactly what my friends desire, exactly what my mate would like to have. Because we think we know what everybody wants anyway, so we're just going to give them what we think they ought to have. But when you listen, you might find out that it's completely opposite of everything you thought.
You're right. We want to give people what we think we want to give them what they want.
It's true. Yeah, that's right.
That's like the platinum rule. Yeah, don't treat me like I want to be treated. I'll treat you like you want to be treated.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I think is exciting. I had somebody on the show a couple of weeks ago, Ellen Tad, and she talks about not going with your gut and not going with just your mind, but actually when you are mindful and you can hear from spirit, which is part of you, because she says there's the soul, the spirit, and the personality, that when you hear that message, that's really where like to go with the third eye, that's who you need to listen to. So it's different from the gut and it's different from the analytical mind. It's actually the third eye and spirit part of you still, but talking to you and giving you the information that you need, which I think is fascinating, really.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And you're absolutely right that if you can focus on that third eye and realize that, it's not about forcing things. It's not about making these decisions. Okay, I've got to make this happen. I've got to make this happen. It's more about letting go. It's more about surrender. And the more you can do that, the more things will just fall into place in your life. Not an easy thing to learn sometimes.
It's not,
true.
Especially when there's big obstacles in your way.
Yes.
But I have learned, and I teach the same as like you, that, if you say, okay, here's my obstacle, now I'm going to get out of my way. and let the solution come to me.
Right.
I'll let them work on it, and then they can tell me when it's all fixed.
I like that, Frankie.
Right?
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I like to do. Have you ever been in a situation, I know, either traveling or at home, where you've been afraid?
I haven't been afraid. I have been aware. This happened in Australia. And I was walking in the rain to my lodgings, and I could hear this car behind me. And I said, okay, it doesn't feel good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going slowly. So finally it pulled on the sidewalk in front of me. There's a gentleman in a car all by himself, and he says, I can give you a ride where you're going. And I said, no, thank you. So get in the car, and I said, no, thank you. Then I started around the car, and I walked really fast. For some reason, that didn't feel good to me, so I didn't get in the car.
Right.
Now, when I was in New Zealand, in Rotorua, I was in a hostel, and a gentleman walked over, and he says, when I get off today, Inez, I'm going to take you someplace special. That felt good, and I went with him. And then that night, he says, well, I'm going to go see my fiance this weekend. Would you like to go? She's 3 hours away. I said, sure. He was feeling safe. We get in the car, we're driving, and he says, you always get in the car with strange men? I said, no, but you felt good.
Yeah.
Out there, and we had a ball. So it's about listening, and I'm always aware of what's going on. I pay attention to all my surroundings, so that, like the gentleman in Australia in the car, I'm thinking, oh, no. But with this one, yes, we will go. And he took me to some marvelous Maori villages and all that. It was lovely.
That's fascinating. And when they say that women who walk with purpose down a street, women who walk with, their head up, confident, people, they don't want to mess with them, really, because there's too much work.
It is too much.
Too much work. So I can just imagine no, thank you. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
The goddess is walking down the street.
Yeah. And when I think back on that, I'm thinking, okay, it was the same situation. And I walked around all these cities all by myself, just having public transportation, buses, trains. It was amazing. Toot-toots, tuk-tuks, all that stuff. Had a ball.
Let me ask you this. When you travel, the difference in the people that you meet when you travel than the people in I'm going to say in the United States of America, how are they different, or are they different?
You know what, Frankie? I found that people are more similar than dissimilar. And those who are kind and loving are kind and loving. And those who are mean and nasty are mean and nasty. I found that I attract to me those who are kind, loving, and protective, which really must be the energy that I give out.
Yeah.
Now, what I failed to tell you is, after my third country, I downsized from a 22-inch suitcase, a carry-on for my laptop, a carry-on bag, and a purse, to a 14-inch backpack.
Wow.
So for all the other countries, I had that backpack. It was awesome. Everything I owned was in the backpack, so either I wore that or I couldn't go out.
Now that's worth teaching.
Now that is mindfulness.
Yeah.
Scaling down and becoming a minimalist and realizing that there are only a few things we actually need. And so much of that other stuff is just getting in the way. It's cluttering our lives. It's cluttering our minds.
True.
Inez, I appreciate that. That is terrific.
Why does your wife take 2 suitcases first?
Well, she usually takes more than I do. I'll tell you that much.
I know. I always take a big one. And for sure, you never use half of it. I know that.
Yeah.
But contingency, contingency.
My wife says, I'm wearing this thing because I brought it. I'm making sure I wore every single thing that I have, every pair of shoes, everything. And then that makes it all worthwhile. And I'm like, okay, but did you really need to wear all those things? But to each his own. Like, you know what I mean? If she enjoys that and that feels good for her.
I think it's great. And I would love to learn how to pair it. And I'm going to practice when I come to San Diego in a couple of weeks, and as to the Global Influence Summit, to take less. It's harder for me to travel now because some days I need to walk with my cane because, my hip and my knees and stuff are gone. And that makes it difficult. And so you think, yeah, do I really want to take that big thing and another thing and try to walk with all this stuff? Like, it's not as easy when you're going by yourself. If you got, some strapping guy with you, it's easy. You got a pack horse.
That helps.
Yeah, that always helps. But, when you're by yourself, and so I think, yeah, how can I? But, part of it's the rollers and the makeup and the this and the that. It's like, it needs its own backpack. Oh my gosh. That's great though. Be able to really be mindful and know what you need and what you don't, because really people, they're not looking at your clothes, probably. They're not looking, they're looking at you. And I think that's what's important. I mean, if you're clean, that's good. Do you travel like with your own soaps and things like that? Do you find that, I'm just curious.
I do have some small bottles that I take, and because getting on the plane and all that.
Yeah, you can't.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I just leave that behind, and when I get where I'm going, I'll buy whatever they have available and use it. Some people have to have their own special sauce. I don't. If it's soap and get me clean, fine.
Wow. So I think it's very exciting what you're both are doing. I love that, you're helping people all over the world really come into their own and become confident and, stand up for themselves, whether it's anti-bullying or it's, I'm not going to get in a car with you. I mean, it's very similar, really. You're putting out an energy that says, I'm okay and I don't need that. And, I'm going to be, a happy, confident person in this world. And to be able to travel and be a happy, confident person, or to go to work and be a happy, confident person, that's what we all desire. And there's nothing like having to go to school or go to work or go anywhere when you do not feel good about yourself or how people are going to treat you. And I guess, as you said, Inez, in the work that you do, you teach women to love themselves first. And how can you expect other people to love you if you don't care about yourself?
Well, people can pick up how much you will accept. Mm-hmm. And so we find ourselves often tolerating behavior that we really abhor, but because they are our friend or our lover or whatever. So what I teach my clients to do is to create non-negotiable boundaries.
Yeah.
And to share those boundaries. And when people start to breach them, say that's a breach, and start moving back from it because they don't value you, they don't honor you, and they disrespect you. Do you want to be in a relationship like that?
Yeah, and the art of letting go. As you said, the art of letting go. Yeah.
It is an art.
Yeah, because it's difficult. When people have obstacles in their life, when they have, difficult situations in their life, oftentimes it's letting people go that, say, I'm sorry, but you have to leave my life. You're toxic to it. I can't have you in it anymore. You're a naysayer, you're a, downer, you call me names or this or that. Mm-hmm. Like, those boundaries are healthy in business and in our personal lives. And it's really important, as you say.
That is very true. Now, one of the things though, many people have been tolerating for so long, they don't, and you mentioned about letting go. What I get them to understand is as soon as they let go, now they can breathe and start lifting their energy to a higher level, to attract to them others who really want to respect them, love them, and honor them. So don't rush to fill the space, rush to feel yourself.
I like that. Don't rush to fill the space, rush to feel yourself. Very important.
That is excellent. That is, and as
Thank you.
Rush to fill the space. I like that.
Yeah, because the universe doesn't like a hole, but at the same time, we all know, and you clean out your closet, new clothes come in, right?
They do.
So yeah. Yep. So and it's the same thing. Like, if you get rid of what's not working, you leave space for what can work. And when women who are going to go on dates, over 50, I will say to them that, like, if you're gonna, and not just over 50, but if you're gonna, and this goes for men too, if you are going to wear your slippers out or your pajamas or have your hair all natty, if you're going to go like that, the vibration you're letting out, and that's who you're going to attract to yourself. And you can't expect to have, you know, Brad Pitt if you're walking around like, you know, Popeye's going to come to you or something.
I wondered who you were going to say.
I didn't know what I was going to say.
Popeye.
It's Frankie's.
Popeye
I
the
don't know what's going to come out.
Sailor Man.
Exactly. But, you know, I use got my spinach. But, you know, maybe he was a newfie, I don't know. But anyway, when you walk in the world as you know, the part that you want to be, then the rest of those players will come to you. I think that's
I love that.
Yes.
Walk in the world the player you want to be, not what you think your current reality is, but your desires. Oh, Frankie, that was good.
Thank you.
It was.
I think it might be in my book somewhere, but
That's-
yeah,
that's profound.
that's the idea. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's how you attract, right? That's how you raise your vibration. That's how you attract what you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is to be that. And boy, it's been wonderful talking to you guys. I just love this conversation. It's so
I do
good.
too. You're so bubbly. You're so upbeat. I mean, I already knew that, but it's just so much fun to actually be chatting with you and
Thank
as you
you.
do. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Totally
I mean,
fun.
Inez, you live in Florida. Is that where you live now?
Yes, when are you coming down? You're in Canada, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We both are. Yeah.
We both are. Bruce is about an hour away. We're in the land of the great white snow right now.
Minus 23 when I went outside this morning.
It's
I'm like,
very
oh, but I love it. I love the weather.
I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do that.
I love it. I love the snow.
Yeah.
And I
When
love
it
the
snows,
cold.
it feels better. Like it does feel like it's more comfortable
Yeah.
when you have a
Really?
lot of snow. Yeah,
Oh.
it takes the chill off, kind of. Like
Yes,
when
it
it's
does.
just damp and you don't have snow and cold, then it's more bracing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Frankie.
Yeah, but we're in Florida. Where are we
Near
going?
Orlando.
Oh, lots of cruise ships leave there,
We're
don't they?
going to Orlando. Awesome.
Oh, actually, they
Yeah.
don't have water in Orlando. They don't leave from
No.
there. But we can go to Disney World. Is it Disney World or Land? I always get them confused.
Disney World, Universal, all of the parks are there.
Right there.
Yeah.
I always get the Anaheim one confused with the Florida, if it's a world or the land. Yeah. Or they call it the same.
Disneyland,
Disney
Disney
World.
World. Disney World in Florida, is that right?
Yeah. World in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. World in
Yeah.
Florida.
It must be
Yeah.
spectacular. I haven't been there since I was like 17. That's a long time ago.
It's wonderful.
Oh, it's so
My
different.
wife and son love it there. And it is. It's just like stepping into another world. It's beautiful.
Have you been to the Disneys around the world?
No, I didn't go to Disney's around the world. I have friends who go to Disney's around the world, but I haven't. One of the things I like about Disney more than anything is the Imagineers. Can you just meet those people and think about what they were thinking to put it all together? The
Oh, yeah.
Imagineers get my juices flowing. I'm so
Cool.
excited about them.
Yeah.
You know what? I always wanted to be a set designer because I like the idea of creating this stuff, right? Like how creative can you be? And so when I see things like that and or you go to a play and you see that set design and you go, oh my God, like how amazing is that? I would have loved to, you know, do something like that. That'd be so cool. That'd
That
be
would
like
be.
one of my dream jobs for a week.
That would be fun.
For a week.
That would be.
There's other ones I want to do. I can't keep them for a long time, but I believe in reinvention. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, gosh, you guys have been so much fun. Thanks for hanging with me today.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. It's been great.
I'm gonna give you each a final word here, though. What would you like to tell people? Pro-currency, pro-currency, and then
Cryptocurrency is the new economy. It is the new wave. And if you don't know anything about it, reach out to me and I will share what I know. And if you want to check other places, check, but really learn something about crypto because that's the going thing and the new economy.
And mindfulness is the new norm. And you know what? The more people you talk to, the more successful people, they'll say, you know, I have this mindfulness practice. I have this meditation. That's how I became successful because I learned to do this as a habit every day. So mindfulness is the new norm. Make it happen. Check out mindfulnessmode.com and listen to how other people use mindfulness in their lives.
well, thank you both. This has been FrankieSense and More. I'm Frankie Picasso, your host, and these have been my guests, Inez Bracey and Bruce Langford. And we say goodbye, and I'll see you again next Tuesday for another Mission Unstoppable. Take care, everybody.